range, the front range light. Front range reactions shining bright. Stand on the side by side, sharing joy and spreading pride. The front range light. Front range reactions shining bright.
Hey there, and welcome back to the Front Range. I am the dad, and I'm old. My usual co-pilot, my daughter who is young, is not with me today. But today I'm actually be taking a look at an old video of the Rolling Stones back in 1968. And it's from an event they had, the Rock and Roll Circus, where they actually performed with a bunch of other very notable artists. A lot of them are in this video. I'm not going to name them, but I'm sure you'll be able to pick them out. But the reason I'm showing this is actually, for those of you who've been following me, I've really been kind of learning more about Yungblud and looking at more of his catalog because I really like the way he's kind of stepped onto the scene and is representing rock and roll in a time when it seems like there's not a lot of rock and roll bands out there. I mean, I know there are bands out there, but there just aren't a lot of prominent rock bands. I mean, especially when you look at the era when I grew up as a Gen Xer. The 90s feels like it was kind of the end of the proliferation of rock bands in all the different genres. I mean, from heavy or hair metal bands and heavy metal bands in the 80s that was kind of my thing at that time, and then like Metallica, stuff like that, into the 90s when you had grunge and post-grunge and post-punk and like whatever you want to call it. There were a lot of bands, and then obviously going before the 80s, I mean, you had the 70s with some of just the absolute greatest bands of all time, like Queen and Fleetwood Mac and Led Zeppelin, and then back into the 60s, you had Jimi Hendrix and, the Doors, and you can go on and on, the Animals and Beach Boys and, the Beatles. I mean, you can go back really to the 50s even to where these kind of organic rock bands came from that, it was a bunch of guys that got together, kids, teenagers or in their 20s, and either they were kind of musicians who knew about each other in the same town or, within the same area. They heard of each other, or they were just kids that went to school together and they decided to form a band. So that's something that I think Yungblud is coming back and representing. I love that he's doing it, and I love his style, and in the sense of he seems like a very down-to-earth guy, kind of a humble guy, and so that's caused me to really dig in his catalog. But as far as something else he brings is he's clearly a frontman. He is in the most classic sense of rock and roll frontmen, where they have this just inherent charisma. They tend to ooze sexuality. They, it's hard to not pay attention to them, and they command the stage and they command the camera, and they do all these things, and it's kind of an indefinable quality, but you know it when you see it. So, with that in mind, with him being a throwback, there's one video that really stuck out in my mind of someone who just, when I see Yungblud, it reminds me a lot of this singer in this performance, which is Mick Jagger in this performance of Sympathy for the Devil in that Rock and Roll Circus. Now, I don't know, a lot of you, most of you, some of you, are familiar with the Rolling Stones catalog, and are familiar maybe with these videos from this particular event, or the Rolling Stones of this era, which again, 1968. Mick Jagger was 25, so you're talking about approximately the same age. I think Youngblood's 27 now, so he was certainly making music at 25. But I just thought I'd show this video for anyone that's interested, and I don't know, maybe nobody watches this and really sees what I see. Maybe nobody's really interested, but there's been a lot of interest in kind of the reactions to Yungblud, and I've really enjoyed interacting with other Yungblud fans. I have to admit, like, of all the people that kind of come on here and have interacted, it's one of the nicest fan bases, and it's so diverse as far as, the age range, because there are a lot of other Gen Xers like myself, and then there's, Gen Z and Gen Alpha and whatever. There's people who love his music, which is great. I love that. But maybe even some of you who haven't heard this or haven't seen this, you'll watch it. Maybe again you'll see what I see. Maybe you won't. Maybe you think there's nothing similar at all. But again, I just thought I'd put it out there because I find it interesting and I find him reminiscent. So we'll go ahead and watch this video and kind of come out the other end, and then hopefully down the road with the comments, we'll kind of have a discussion about this. And the other thing is always appreciate anyone that takes time to watch any of our videos. And if you can, like, share, subscribe, all those things everybody always asks for. Comment for sure, because I love interacting. Subscribe in particular doesn't cost you anything. It really helps us because we kind of get out into the algorithm a little better. But even if you don't, I'm glad you're here, and hopefully you'll enjoy this video, and hopefully you'll see some things that I see and I'm not. I'll find out or figure out that I'm not as crazy as I thought I was. I know I'm kind of crazy, but maybe not as crazy as I thought it was. So anyways, here we go with the 1968 performance by the Rolling Stones of Sympathy for the Devil, and see if you see a little Yungblud in Mick Jagger. And again, not the way he moves, not the way he sings, but just that frontman persona and that kind of lithe rock god figure that Mick Jagger cuts in this video. I hope you enjoy it. Here we go.
I'm a man with a taste. I've been around for a long, long year. So many a man's soul and faith. I was around when Jesus Christ had his moment of doubt and pain. Made damn sure that Pilate washed his hands, sealed his fate. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. Oh yeah. But what's puzzling you is just the nature of my game. Stuck around St. Petersburg when I saw it was the time for a change. Killed us all.
So right away, visually, just aside from anything else, the way this presentation, the colors, the vibrant colors and everything that they were using, and just a feast for the eyes, really, beyond even the music. And what I love about Mick Jagger, first of all, I know there's the whole song Moves Like Jagger, which is funny because that's my daughter. That was the first time I really heard that name, which is funny because I made her listen to the Rolling Stones when she was younger, but she didn't make the connection. But I love Mick Jagger, the pent-up energy. Like, if you watch him, like, he's ready to explode. Like, you can see it. He can barely contain it. And again, I see some of that sometimes in what Yungblud does. If he does sing in a restrained way, but then he's got the pipes to really give that rock and roll yell and sing, without auto-tune. You look at his live performances. But anyways, that pent-up energy is something that I see in Yungblud, and it's right away, like, so apparent with Mick Jagger.
And his ministers, Anastasia, screamed in vain. I rode a tank, had a generous rank. I went to blitzkrieg rage, and the body stank. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. Ah, yeah. But what's confusing you is just the nature of my game. I watch with glee while your kings and queens fall for 10 decades. For the God save me, I shout it out, get look Kennedy. Well, after all, it was you and me. So let me please introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and chase. And I'll eat track for troubadours who get here before they reach Bombay. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. Yeah. But what's buzzing you is just the nature of my game. Yeah. I get down with it. Yeah.
I mean, Mick Jagger's stagecraft, right? The way he uses the space, and he sits down, he gets up, he moves back to the band. He's got his back to the audience, he turns back around. Masterful, right? And you know, obviously well rehearsed, but also just instinctive in a way. You can see it. Like he's not 1, 2, 3. Okay, now I'm gonna face the band. Again, I watching the live Yungblud performances, you see that with him as well. He has great understanding, keeping kind of trying to get that audience in your hand and being the focus. And then the other thing you see that's unmistakable with Mick Jagger, he's channeling the music as much as he's singing it. He's a vessel, you know, with both his voice, but I mean, he's feeling all of that music go through him, of that amazing band behind him. And I remember the first time I watched Yungblud singing, when he sang Changes at the Ozzy concert, farewell concert. I remember thinking the same thing. I was like, man, this guy is channeling this music. He's not so much singing it, he's feeling it, and he's the vessel for it. So again, that's just another similarity that I see. Again, maybe I'm completely wrong and I'm just seeing things, but
have some courtesy, have some sympathy, and some days. Use all your well-learned politics, or I lay your soul to waste. Yeah. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. Yeah. But what's buzzing you is just the nature of my game. Yeah. Get down with it. Yeah. All right.
I mean, Mick's going off at this point, right? But lower his pants just a little bit because we all know Dom. He likes to wear those leather pants low. Um, but that understanding of rock and roll in a way is sex, right? Like it's an it's an integral component, like that sexuality in rock and roll, especially when your front man just kind of oozes that. And the shirtless, lithe figure of Mick Jagger reminds me, or Youngblood is another part of what reminded me physically, like that presence, shirtless, performing live, like it just, to me, the juxtaposition of the two, like it's an obvious similarities there. But again, maybe I'm crazy.
All down. Oh yeah. Yeah. All right. Tell me, baby, what's my name? What's my name? Won't you tell me, baby? What's my name? I want you to tell me, sweetie. And y'all come on in. Why you tell me, baby? What's my name? Why you tell me, sweetie? Y'all come on in. Ooh, 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 all right. Now tell me, honey. What's my name? What's my name? Oh, tell me, baby.
So there it was. Um, Man, I get amped up when I watch a performance. Another thing, I mean, I know in that performance, obviously, it's in a controlled setting, a small setting. Um, it's obviously structured and set up for that performance. Those songs, I think they did 5 or 6 songs. But the other thing that Mick Jagger does, and that the great frontmen do, that I also think Dom does, is whether you're in the front row or whether you're in the back of the stadium, the great frontmen make you feel like they're performing to you, no matter where you are. If you've never seen the Live Aid set by Queen, watch it, because it is quite possibly the greatest music set ever captured on video, for a lot of reasons. Not just Freddie Mercury and Queen's performance itself, but for the amount of people that were watching. Not just it was in Wembley, not just in Wembley Stadium, but around the world. For those of you old like me who understand what Live Aid is, it was a worldwide basically performance, performed both in the United States and in England. I think it was just those 2 stages, but they went back and forth, and it was huge acts from all around the world. But Queen's set, and they were not considered to be like I mean, it was huge bands and singers from everywhere. They were not necessarily considered to be the like headline or anything, and they stole the show. Like they really did. If you ever watch it, it's an amazing, watching Freddie Mercury capture that crowd is what I'm talking about. Um, Mick Jagger did it. You can watch him in this and see intimately how he, in a smaller venue, he performs. Or you can watch the Rolling Stones, stadium shows and see how he does it. Dom has that as well. You can just see in some of those live performances. So, again, I just kind of want to share this. This is really just for me, if it's not for anybody else, because it's something that I've been thinking about and I wanted to put out there. And, if it even reaches one, fan who wasn't familiar with that performance or really wasn't familiar with a young Mick Jagger, maybe has only seen the older Rolling Stones. I mean, the Stones in throughout their career for sure. But again, when you watch, bands, particularly when they were young and at the height of their powers, physically, vocally, it's just an amazing thing to watch with the greats. And I think, eventually Yungblud could be, in that category if he continues kind of on the trajectory that he's on. Obviously that's lofty. I'm not necessarily saying he's going to be where the Stones are, because obviously they're always in the conversation when you talk about the greatest rock bands of all time. They're in there. They're going to be in the conversation. But I think, to me, for me, comparing someone to Mick Jagger, knowing how great he is and they are, and within the history of rock and roll, I mean, it says something, because I don't know that I've compared any singer in the last, I don't know how long, to those greats. Again, the Mick Jaggers, the Robert Plants, the Jim Morrisons. There's just who's out there like now that's even in that category. So, anyways, I don't want to go on too long. I just want to share it. Please, give me your feedback. If I'm completely wrong and you're like, there's no way, they're completely different. Maybe you're not, for whatever reason, you're not a Rolling Stones or Mick Jagger fan. You're wrong. But, there's different tastes for everyone. And I learned a long time ago, music and art is so subjective. You really shouldn't ever criticize someone else's tastes, because it's their taste. I mean, music is there to make you happy and make you feel a certain way, or sometimes it makes you sad and gets you through hard times or good times or whatever it is, but it's different for everyone. I have really, though, especially with my daughter, and it's one of the reasons we have this channel, is trying to expand into music I am not familiar with at all. K-pop. I'm an old metalhead, classic rock kind of guy. Not that I don't. I also love funk. There's a lot of hip hop that I like. I'm a yacht rock guy. I mean, there's a lot of different music. I grew up in theater. I was kind of a theater kid in some ways. So show tunes even. My musical taste is pretty broad. Elvis, Frank Sinatra, even some of the older stuff. I love that as well. But I just love sharing music too. So hopefully this video reaches somebody who's never seen it. They really like it. Other than that, like I said, if you like what we're doing, subscribe. Again, please comment. The subscription's free. And let me know what else I can look at, or maybe other comparisons you think you'd like to make between X artist and Y artist. Other than that, like I said, I'm glad you're here. Hope you have a great day, and I will see you on the next one.